Okay, part 5. The next games I'll be telling you about is Pokemon X and Y version. Now, Pokemon X and Y version came out worldwide in October 2013. As like in the previous versions, both of the games take place in a France-based region called Kalos region, and it follows the journey of a young Pokemon trainer and friends as they train and capture all the Pokemon native in the Kalos region. With the objective is being to thwart the schemes of the nefarious crime organization, Team Flare, all while attempting to challenge the Pokemon League champion. X and Y introduced 72 new species of Pokemon and introduced a new fairy type. Character customization, updated battle and trading mechanics, and completely rendered polygonal 3D graphics as opposed to the sprites from the previous games. A new form of Pokemon evolution was introduced called Mega Evolution, which allows players to further evolve many species of their fully evolved Pokemon, with only 30 of the evolutions that are available in the games. The games take place in a star-shaped region of Kalos, which is based on the real world of France. Centered around the beauty, the region is heavily inspired by metropolitan France and to the lesser extent Europe as a whole. Many locations and landmarks across the Kalos region have real-world inspirations, such as the Prism Tower, which is based on the Eiffel Tower, and the Lumiose Art Museum, which is based on the Louvre, and the stones outside of Geosenge Town that are based on the Karnak stones. Wild Pokemon inhabit every area of the Kalos region, and many of which are known to appear in the area. The storyline is basically the same as Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Black and White, and its sequels, but with the main events occur in a fixed order. The protagonist of X and Y is a child who just moved to a small town of Vannyvale Town with their mother. They soon befriend 4 trainers, Shauna, Tierno, and Trevor, and a rival character, either Caleb or Sharita, depending on what protagonist you're playing as, all of whom are called to meet Professor Sycamore, who's the leading professor in the Kalos region of Lumiose City, the main city of Kalos, receiving either Chespin, a grass type, Fennekin, a fire type, or a water type Froakie as their starter Pokemon from Tierno. The player begins their adventure. Along the way, they learn of Pokemon gyms and receive their first gym badge after defeating the first gym leader, Viola of Centaloon City. Thereafter, they encounter Cena and Dexio, who are assistants to Professor Sycamore, who brings them to the professor himself. However, once in Lumiose, they discover an area that is suffering from a partial power outage. Upon meeting Professor Sycamore in the city, the player is then informed of Mega Evolution, and he requests that he travel all over across Kalos to uncover the mysteries behind it. He provides them with one of the Kanto region starters, either a Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle, and their respective Mega Stone. And before leaving Lumiose City, the player encounters an imposing man named Lysander, who desires a more beautiful world. Continuing the journey, the player encounters the villainous team organization, Team Flare, whose goal at first seemed to gear towards making money off of Pokemon. Later encounters with Team Flare reveal their true goal to be the annihilation of humanity, to return the world to its pristine, more beautiful state. In Shallow City, the player learns how to use Mega Evolution from the Mega Evolution Guru Gherkin and his granddaughter Corina, who is the gym leader of Shallow City. Defeating Corina in a special Mega Evolution battle using Lucario, the player's given an ability to freely use Mega Evolution. The player then continues their journey, defeating many gym leaders and collecting gym badges along the way, and stopping various schemes carried out by Team Flare. In the Lumiose Badlands, the player defeats Team Flare during their attempt to steal the energy from the region's power plant, and then restores all power to all of Lumiose City. And once the player obtains their 7th gym badge, they and the rest of Kalos were addressed by Lysander through Holocaster, a holographic communication device. Lysander informs them of the fact that he is the leader of Team Flare and intends to destroy humanity. Following hints from friends and locals, the player discovers Team Flare's secret lab under a cafe in Lumiose City, where they formally meet a 9-foot, 2.7-meter tall man named AZ. He was revealed to be the 3,000-year-old king who once used the ultimate weapon, the same device and weapon of mass destruction Lysander plans to use, which utilized the energy from the legendary Pokemon Xerneas and Yveltal to end a war in Kalos. AZ's decision to use the ultimate weapon was motivated by his desire to revive the Pokemon he loved the most, a variant of the Pokemon Floette. Although this Pokemon was disgusted with his choice to use the ultimate weapon and left him. The war 3,000 years ago was set in motion the events necessary to create Mega Evolution and inadvertently infusing the excessive energy into an asteroid. Alongside Shauna and Caleb or Serena, the player sets out to defeat Team Flare and Lysander at the second base in Geosenge Town, the location of the ultimate weapon. Upon reaching the core of the weapon, the player discovers the dormant legendary Xerneas or Yveltal, which suddenly awakens with their appearance. They capture the legendary Pokemon and proceed to bring an end to Lysander's plans after defeating him in a battle one more time. After this battle, Lysander uses the ultimate weapon to destroy the ultimate weapon. The player Shauna and Caleb or Serena make their escape from the base before that could happen. With the defeat of Team Flare, the player resumes their journey to obtain the final gym badge, enabling them to challenge the Elite Four, the most powerful trainers in Kalos. They traverse Victory Road and reach the Kalos Pokemon League to begin their final challenge. Once they overcome the Elite Four, the player faces and defeats the champion Diantha, making the player the new champion of Kalos. A parade is organized by Professor Sycamore to celebrate the player's role in saving Kalos and becoming the new Pokemon champion. AZ then battles the player during the parade, recognizing the player's strength and what it means to be a Pokemon trainer. His Floette then returns to him, and they were reunited for the first time in 3,000 years. When the games were out, they received positive reviews from the critics, who praised the advancements in the gameplay and innovations that the developers brought to the franchise. The game's visuals and the transition to the 3D models were well received by the critics, though the story was very well received by criticism. The highly anticipated games were a commercial success, selling 4 million copies worldwide in the first weekend, beating their predecessors' Black and White's record, and making them the fastest-selling games on the 3DS. As of March 31st, 2021, a combined total of 16.53 million copies have been sold, making X and Y the second best-selling games on the system after Mario Kart 7. The next games are the Ruby and Sapphire remakes, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. The storyline is basically the same as the original versions, but it includes Mega Evolution and Super Trading, and 2 forms for Groudon and Kyogre, the primal reversion forms. And it also includes a side quest story in the game called Delta Episode, where the player must work with a new character, Xenia, Stephen Stone, and Professor Cosmo to find a way to stop the meteor from crashing into the Hoenn region, which requires capturing the legendary Rayquaza in order to stop the meteor that holds the mythical Pokemon Deoxys. when the games were released worldwide were released worldwide in November 21st, 2014, they received generally positive reviews from the critics. As of March 31st, 2021, the game sold 14.39 million copies worldwide. The next game is the Pokemon Sun and Moon series. Now the storyline is basically have a different storyline than the other two predecessors. With increased emphasis on Pokemon interactions. It follows a Pokemon trainer's journey across the Alola region that is based on the real-world location of Hawaii, with the objective of the games is to complete the Island Challenge and thwart the schemes of Team Skull, and later the Ether Foundation, all while attempting to challenge various Pokemon trainers of gradually increasing difficulty. The game introduced 81 new Pokemon, and new features such as the Alolan variant forms of previous generation Pokemon, and powerful moves known as the Z moves, alien Pokemon creatures known as the Ultra Beasts, updated battle and training mechanics, and improved polygonal 3D graphics. While largely independent of one another, the two games follow the similar plot. Each can be played separately. Trading Pokemon between two games is necessary to complete the Pokédex. They may also be traded in from other games, just like the previous installments. Pokemon Sun and Moon version take place in a fictional island of the Alola region, which is based on the real world of Hawaii. In the beginning, it takes place on a tropical archipelago, 4 islands of Alola region. The leading scientist in the Alola region is Professor Kukui, whose name comes from the name Kukui, Alorites mollicanus, the flowering tree, also known as the candlenut, the Hawaiian state tree. Continuing the trend of Pokemon professors are being named after trees. Team Skull is the name of a villainous group in Alola. The Ether Foundation in the organization is an organization which studies Ultra Beasts, mysterious Pokemon from another dimension. And though Professor Oak does not appear in the series, although Professor Oak doesn't appear in Sun and Moon, his cousin Samson Oak does. The story takes place in the Alola region, where the player starts off as a youngster moving from Kanto to the Alola region's Melee Island with their mother. After beating Lily and rescuing her special Pokemon she calls Nebby, the player obtains the starter Pokemon from the local Professor Kukui and embark on the Island Challenge, a coming-of-age custom spanning trials across the Alola region. Along with the local youngster Hao. Unlike the previous versions of the games, the trials involve battles with powered-up Pokemon, followed by battles with each of the island's kahuna upon completion of the island's trials. Throughout this, the player encounters Team Skull, a group of team organization who quit the island trials, whose members include their leader, Guzma, and enforcer, Gladion. The player also encounters the Ether Foundation, an organization aiming to shelter the Pokemon from various threats.